Hi, I'm Jake. I make RPG supplements and videos about Pathfinder 2, or PF2. I love PF2. It's the greatest game ever. Before we get to our feature of the day, our ancestry from Tian Xia, I have a public service announcement to make. The pumpkin spice creamer has landed. Pumpkin spice is here. Yes. Okay, that's all. I love pumpkin spice everything. Pumpkin spice candles, pumpkin spice candy. Although the candies often taste like you're just eating wax, which is weird. I guess it's because there's so many oils in it. It doesn't matter. Wayang. I don't know. What's yang with you? I know that was right. That was bad. Sorry. So Wayangs are shadow creatures, but I think they're originating as a separate shadow creature with Pathfinder 2 in Tian Xia. Like, I think that what they're originally from is a Javanese shadow puppet theater, and Wayang just means shadow. So I don't think that there's actually lore in our world about Wayangs being a separate shadow entity, creature, species. Could be wrong, but couldn't find anything else about it, so I think this is an original ancestry. Wayangs, if you're not interested in lore, go to this time, and you'll get to the mechanics and then heritages and feats. Wayangs. Wayangs are diasporic sojourners, which just means that they're spread out and they travel. Like they've been scattered, dispersed. Wayangs are diasporic sojourners from the netherworld, where they lived and worked alongside their allies, light-weaving Dziriacs. Both peoples shared affinities for artistic expression and spiritual introspection, inspiring each other's sensitivities to color, form, and function. They also bolstered each other's defense against rampaging dragons, oni, and undead. This ideal collapsed from divine meddling. Some say when Abadar sentenced Zon Cathon to exile in the Netherworld, the Midnight Lord's deific presence distorted the plane into a nightmarish domain, while others' accounts ascribe fiendish sources to this doom. Whatever the reason, Wayang and Dziriac communities suffered terribly. Kuthites and Velstrax colonized the Netherworld, engulfing it in religious wars of slaughter and brutality, an ongoing catastrophe that Wayangs and Dziriacs refer to as the Desecration. Wow, that's dramatic. Despite both peoples' valorous resistance, with every generation, space and resources became scarcer. When the Age of Ashes created passageways between the Netherworld and Golarion, many Wayangs sailed away for a better life. These curious wayfarers became Tian Xia's first Wayangs, who shared their skills and labor to eke out a solidarity of subsistence with Earthfall's survivors. These explorers also observed how Tian Xia's suffering souls weakened barriers to the Netherworld, whose malignant overlords absorbed the negative emotions to grow in power. While disappointments, melancholia, and other negative experiences were part and parcel of existence, the engineers of the Desecration exploited mortal emotions to oppress both the universe and its shadow netherworlds. Wow, dramatic big things. Dramatic entry into this ancestry. Realizing these planar interconnections, Wayang leaders reached a bold conclusion. No world is free until all worlds are. To prevent the Netherworld's colonial oppressors from harnessing mortal souls and to reclaim the darkness from its present state of malice and anguish, more Wayang expeditions arrived in Tian Xia with exorcists and cursebreakers to purify... He's okay. Gast, are you okay? He seems to have a cold. Realizing these planar interconnections, Wayang leaders reached a bold conclusion. No world is free until all worlds are. To prevent the Netherworld's colonial oppressors from harnessing mortal souls and to reclaim the darkness from its present state of malice and anguish, more Wayang expeditions arrived in Tian Xia with exorcists and cursebreakers to purify paths to the Netherworld and starve its despots of spiritual power. Toward this end, Wayang sages devised the dissolution, a philosophy of drawing strength and peace from one's inner darkness. They shared their teachings discreetly with those in Tian Xia touched by darkness, instead of leaving such people to be preyed upon by Velstrax and other depraved entities. Velstrax are really fun as a GM, by the way. They are messed up, and they have fun abilities. If you want to play a character who has at home in the shadows of Tian Xia's oceans and jungles, is heir to mystic and martial arts drawing upon the Netherworld's untainted power, and pursues obscure struggles against dark forces, you should play a Wayang. You might seek out Tian Xia's dark places such as mountainous caves, shaded mangroves, or rainforest canopies. You might be curious about this sunlit world so different from your home's occluded vistas, and seek out new experiences to inspire your artistic expressions and meditative introspection. You might dream and work toward a time when your people can overthrow your invasive masters. Others probably consider you creative and seek to commission you as an artisan or appraiser. Others probably fail to understand your people's motives and distant struggles. Or they may whisper frightful rumors about your origins and attribute curses to your presence. Physical description. The rigors of an interplanar struggle and life on or near the seas of Tian Xia grant many Wayangs wiry frames, and many carry themselves with a gravitas that belies their small stature. It just means gravity, a drama to them, a sort of a pride. Despite long journeys under cloudless skies, Wayang's skin, ranging from ivory white to duskwood black, doesn't sunburn easily, a blessing attributed to the darkness's love for its children. Thick shadows flit and dance almost like a second layer of skin upon Wayang bodies, sheltering them from the sun's glare. Can I have that? Wayangs further decorate their skin with intricate patterns of paint, which non-Wayangs often misinterpret as scarification or tattoos. With concentration and training, Wayangs can move their shadows independently of their body, an ability that both warriors and storytellers use to great effect, either in aiding their ambushes or illustrating their performances. Wayangs tend to grow their hair long, construct elaborate headdresses of shell and horn to hold their hair up in immaculate hairstyles, and favor long scarves or shawls over their shoulders. Society. Wayang society encompasses many tensions between communal and individualistic behaviors. While Wayangs organize themselves into collectives modeled after agrarian villages or seafaring crews where everyone has to do their part for the shared betterment, hermits and iconoclasts are also afforded special places in Wayang society. While individual Wayang villages or ships might look to their leaders for direction in everyday matters, these leaders in turn also look to solitary gurus and unconventional visionaries for guidance and inspiration. The Wayang political universe is composed of multiple overlapping mandalas, concentrations of influence around central charismatic and powerful figures, such as experienced chieftains, ingenious artisans, or intrepid captains. In turn, these individual concentrations cohere around yet other figures famed for righteousness or wisdom, such as sagacious teachers, virtuous princes, or masterful occultists. This approach to social power is useful for organizing diverse diasporas scattered across islands and plains. Each collective practices sufficient independence to pursue their own journeys while retaining enough interdependence to respond to others' calls for help and friendship. Sounds really complicated. Like bureaucratic. Wayang interactions with other communities usually take place as visiting artisans bearing handcrafted goods of precious materials and exquisite quality. Beyond their aesthetic appeal, these items also provide potent supernatural protection against fiends and undead. Despite the high demand, Wayangs don't sell them, but instead offer them freely only to those blessed by shadows, such as particular sorcerer bloodlines. Wayang emissaries use these gifts to aid potential allies and strengthen them against other forces of darkness. In time, many also hope to instruct their newfound friends in the secrets of the dissolution and call upon their strength to overcome the desecration. Wayang names combine Tianxing, Minatan, and Vudrani elements, hints to the vast distances they have traveled. Names also tend toward the allegorically evocative, alluding to the names of places, gods, ancestors, and lineages. Few Wayangs named after gods adhere to those deities' teachings, however, a fact that's infuriating to etymologists and theologians. Such supernatural names are instead chosen for their prestige and power, not piety. A practical decision for outsiders seeking protection and power in an unusual land. Sample names. This is interesting. Putri Ruba Hebat, Hakim Gunung Api, Raja Ribut Hitam, Adik Musang. They sound fun and Vudrani-ish. Vudranish? Vudran. Beliefs. It's common for people with such long histories of alliances and respect for community to abide respectfully within society. Wayang society also has positive perceptions toward less pragmatic individuals. Many resourceful Wayang explorers and artisans embrace attitudes of curiosity and free-spiritedness. Life in Darkness teaches the value of skepticism while discouraging moral absolutism or extremism. Wayangs are seldom cruel, perhaps as... I have to pause there. It sounds like they would be scientifically minded then. That's interesting. Like, I could see them as investigators. Wayangs are seldom cruel, perhaps as conscious rejections of the desecration. Though few champion great causes, many practice quiet benevolence and empathy for those also suffering from oppression or cruelty. So, liberation champions. Wayang religion is largely syncretic, incorporating Auroran austerities of meditation and self-mastery, Sangpochi and Pharasman metaphysics of planar transmigration, and beliefs in the netherworld's indigenous spirits and ancestors. Gods are generally seen as tutelary spirits who can help individual supplicants gain supernatural power. I like that. Like, I'm not worshipping a god, I'm just like a follower of their teachings. Like, they've tread this path before me. They're just great masters, not overwhelmingly powerful supernatural beings. In particular, many invoke Lao Shu Po, whom Wayangs call Sister Mouse Deer. Her cleverness and ability to outmaneuver more powerful divinities and repurpose their power proves especially inspiring to anti-colonial efforts. Ascetics seeking power and wisdom also emulate Ragjia and Diomazul. Notably, despite valuing community and civilization, few worship Abadar due to his place in condemning the netherworld to Zon Kuthon's debasement. Ironically, some fallen Wayangs have become Kuthite adherents and now strive to capture and torment their former fellows. That's great. Popular edicts. Act selflessly toward your community. Make powerful allies. Reject the desecration of darkness. Seek inspiration for your art. These are not alien enough to me, this ancestry, so far. Like their outlook. It's not alien enough to me to be extremely interesting. Popular anathema. Cause a creature unnecessary pain, make compromises in the pursuit of freedom, sell your creations without concern, talk openly about the dissolution. Okay, they have a lot of variety in their culture, and I think that spread out nature of their history causes them to have a lack of focus that isn't attractive to me. Like, personally, I'm very diverse. But this is describing the flavor of this ancestry to me. And the flavor is they help each other. They look for personal growth and personal centeredness. They are kind to people that are enslaved or tortured or harmed in some way. They're basically good guys. Okay. They look for their own inner strength and try to teach others to find inner strength in their own darkness. I don't know what that means yet. Maybe I will. I guess they seem like boring monks. Not that all monks are boring, but they seem like monks, and they're boring. Wayang mechanics. Rarity uncommon. Hit points 8. Size small. They're little bitty people. Speed 25 feet. Good. Attribute boosts. Dexterity, charisma, and free. Attribute flaw. Constitution. I think that makes sense for people that are partially composed of ephemeral energy, because they have less physical form. Languages common. Shadow tongue. Wayang, and additional languages. Traits. Humanoid. Shadow. Wayang. Dark vision, you can see in darkness and dim light just as well as you can see in bright light. That kind of makes sense. We expected that. Okay. Wayang heritages. Each Wayang finds themselves and their shadow drawn to a particular archetype, like a role in a performance. Choose one of the following Wayang heritages at first level. Shadow of the Courtier. Shadow of the Courtier. Your shadow dances alongside you. You gain the impressive performance skill feat, allowing you to make an impression using performance instead of diplomacy. Once per day, if you fail but not critically fail a check to make an impression, you can play it off as part of a performance, allowing you to reroll the check. This is a fortune effect. Great, that's useful. Diplomacy matters. I know it's not a role of diplomacy, but it's still a diplomatic thing to do, and that matters. Shadow of the Hermit. Your shadow seems somehow full of secrets and mysteries, secrets that it shares with you. Choose one cantrip from the occult spell list. You can cast the spell as an occult innate spell at will. A cantrip is heightened to a spell rank equal to half your level, rounded up like all cantrips. That one's useful, obviously. It's extra magic. Shadow of the Sailor. Your shadow flits across the surface of the water, and so do you. You can walk on the surface of still water and other non-damaging liquids, moving at half your normal speed. You can attempt to walk along the surface of flowing water as well, still moving at half speed, but to do so you must succeed in an acrobatics check to balance using the DC of a swim check to move through the water. Oh, sorry, I'll read that part again because I was really happy about it. You can attempt to walk along the surface of flowing water as well, still moving at half speed, but to do so, you must succeed at an acrobatics check to balance using the DC of a swim check to move through the water. So the DC for whatever that body of water would be to swim through. You have to use that for balance. On a failure, you fall into the water. This acrobatics check doesn't use an action. Okay, so if you fall into the water, can you just like climb out of the water again onto the surface? I don't see why not. It doesn't say anything about it. If you can treat it as though it can support your weight, why not just roll another balance check to try to climb on top of the water again? That's a really neat ability and unique. Fun. Shadow the Smith. Your shadow is thick and liquid, like it could quench the finest ore. You gain the inscribed Shadow Pomor action. What's a Pomor? It's one action, occult, shadow traits, frequency once per minute. Effect, you plunge your fist or weapon into your shadow, enveloping it in a rippling damask-like pattern of darkness. If your next action is to strike, the shadows cling to your foe with your attack, obscuring its vision. On a hit, the target of your strike becomes dazzled until the start of your next turn. The target can use an interact action to tear away the clinging shadows and remove the dazzled condition. On a critical hit, the shadows are particularly stubborn and can't be torn away. Oh, that's neat. That's neat. I hope there are ways to upgrade that, because that has a lot of potential. Like causing void damage or cold or something. Shadow of the Wanderer. Your shadow blazes out ahead of you, clearing your path. Your speed increases by 5 feet. But think of how that looks. That's cool. Like blades of grass just fold away from your path because your shadow's in front of you. That's neat. Wayang Feats. I like the art of this ancestry. It's so pretty. And they look so gangly and weird. Level 1 Feats. Aegis of the Dissolution. You are a friend of shadows and know how to avoid the troubles they bring. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to saving throws against effects with the darkness or shadow traits. Meh. It's just not going to come up a lot. Even if it were darkness or shadow traits or light traits, it still wouldn't come up that much. Next level 1 feat. Dance of the Mouse Deer. One action has the traits Illusion, Occult, Shadow, Visual, and Wayang, of course. You move your body in a pattern that evokes the small and clever sister mouse deer, misdirecting enemies and filling their vision with shadows to hide behind. Attempt a performance check against the perception DC of a single enemy within 30 feet. This has all the usual traits and restrictions of a performance check. You can affect up to 2 targets within range if you have expert proficiency in performance, 4 if you have master, 8 if you have legendary. Critical success. Imaginary shadows rise up in the target's vision, hiding you from sight. You gain greater cover against that enemy, which provides a +4 circumstance bonus to AC and to stealth checks to hide, sneak, or otherwise avoid detection. As the shadows are illusory, you don't gain the typical bonus to reflex saves from greater cover. These benefits last until the beginning of your next turn, or until you move from your current space, use an attack action, or become unconscious, whichever comes first. But there's no limit to how often you can do this. This is great. Success. As critical success, except you gain only standard cover, a +2 circumstance bonus instead. I think we expected that. Critical failure, the opponent grasps the movements of your dance, becoming temporarily immune to your Dance of the Mouse Deer for 1 day. So they're only immune on a critical failure. Otherwise, you can keep doing this, even against the same opponent. Neat. That's a really cool feat. Wow. The difference is Aegis of the Dissolution +1 versus things that don't come up that much, or something you can use reliably every round if you want to give yourself a bonus to AC and stealth checks to hide, sneak, or avoid detection. Damn. That's a really good feat. Next level 1 feat, Inherit the Dreaming Heirloom. Cool name. Whether you always carried it, or perhaps only recently inherited, you have a Pusaka, an heirloom containing a spirit who you communicate with in your dreams. Choose one item of light bulk to be your Pusaka. It becomes a magic item that has the occult trait. As long as you sleep with this item in reach and spend 10 minutes during your daily preparations pampering the spirit within, you can activate the Pusaka that day. Oh, this is cool. Activate Ancestral Recollection. It's one action, has the concentrate trait, frequency once per day. Effect. The spirit within the Pusaka advises you on a subject they knew in life. When you gain this feat, select one lore skill about a profession and one about a type of environment, such as accounting lore and forest lore. When you activate the Pusaka, you attempt to recall knowledge using one of these skills. You become temporarily trained in these skills for this check. Once you make your choice of lore skills, they can't be changed. You also get the ability Activate Guide My Dreams. 2 actions, concentrate trait, effect. You ask the spirit within the Pusaka to show you the way. You cast Guidance as an occult cantrip. A cantrip is heightened to a spell rank equal to half your level rounded up. That use of it, Guide My Dreams, casting Guidance, that's not limited to once per day. You just do it. This gives you guidance and extra lores. This is fun. And for me, it brings back memories of my youth having a little box full of worry dolls or trouble dolls. I like that. This actually also is in Russian and Slavic myths. I like this ability a lot. Having a little doll that helps you during the day because you sleep with it and you whisper your problems to it or whatever. Next level 1 feat, Refined Motion in Darkness. The ability to move elegantly and undetected through darkness aided your people as they fled the netherworld. You can move 5 feet farther when you take the sneak action up to your speed. In addition, as long as you continue to use sneak actions and succeed at your stealth check, you don't become observed if you end a sneak action in dim light or darkness as long as you have cover or greater cover or are concealed at the end of your turn. So it's the same thing as the Fetchling feat. Unless I misremember part of it, but it's really similar to the Fetchling feat. Which we expected. There's going to be some crossover between 2 different shadow ancestries. Next level 1 feat, Wayang Lore. You can use your knowledge to enhance your performances or aid you in hiding. You gain the trained proficiency rank in performance and stealth. If you would automatically become trained in one of these skills from your background or class, for example, you instead become trained in a skill of your choice. You also gain the additional lore general feat for Wayang Lore. Fine. Next level 1 feat, Wayang Weapon Familiarity. You learned to fight with weapons that help you keep your distance or make the most of striking from shadows. You gain access to and familiarity with the blowgun, cool, fighting fan, Chris, long spear, machete, sai, and trident. That's an eclectic selection. You have familiarity with these weapons. For the purposes of proficiency, you treat any of these that are martial weapons as simple weapons and any that are advanced weapons as martial weapons. At 5th level, whenever you get a critical hit with one of these weapons, you get a critical specialization effect. That's the same structure that we've now seen many times over in this book, and since the remaster. Wayang Weapon Familiarity is really cool. Some of those weapons are really fun and powerful and useful, and I love blowguns and fighting fans. Level 5 feats. Dissolution's Clarity. Free action, prerequisites, focus pool. Frequency once per day. Requirements, you're in an area of darkness. The Dissolution teaches that darkness can bring clarity and focus, serenity and strength, and so you draw on nearby shadows to replenish your magic. You regain 1 focus point up to your usual maximum. Cool. I love the story behind that, like the feel of it, the explanation. And it's also just mechanically useful. It's pretty powerful. Next level 5 feat, Shadow Play. 1 action. It has the traits Illusion, Occult, and Shadow. Requirements, your last action was a melee strike that damaged your opponent. As your blow lands, you detach from your shadow to get the drop on your enemy. You attempt to tumble through the opponent's space with a +2 circumstance bonus to the acrobatics check. If you succeed, your shadow rises up from the ground, flanking your opponent until the beginning of your next turn. That's awesome. Wow. I have some good feats. Alright, next feat, level 9. Dance of the Tiger. Has the traits Emotion, Fear, Mental, and Occult. Tales tell of the tiger stalking the mouse deer for days, hidden and instilling dread upon its prey. Your dance embodies the character role so well, you can trail an opponent from its own shadow. Wow. Attempt a performance check against the will DC of a single adjacent enemy. Critical success. You step on the foe's shadow, bringing a cold dread. The opponent is frightened too. Its shadow remains pinned underfoot, stretching and deforming to remain connected to your square, and indicates where it has gone even if you lose sight of the foe. The creature can't reduce its frightened condition below 1 as long as you remain on its shadow. Oh, that's such a cool ability! Your connection to its shadow breaks if the distance between you and the target exceeds 120 feet, or if you don't end your turn adjacent to the target. Okay, I see. Once your connection to its shadow breaks, so you have to keep following the target. Once your connection to its shadow breaks, the enemy is immune to Dance of the Tiger for 1 hour. On a success, it says as critical success, except the creature is only frightened 1 and your connection to its shadow breaks at 60 feet instead of 120. That's still a lot of distance. Wow, that's neat. Damn, that's cool. And fucking terrifying. Like, just to watch someone do that, that'd be frightening. That's neat. That's a cool ability. Next level 9 feat, Dissolution Sight. As the occult trait, frequency once per hour, 1 action. Accepting your inner darkness means that no outer darkness can obscure your sight. You gain greater dark vision for a minute. Neat. So you can see through darkness spells really well. Greater darkness spells. Cool. Good. Next level 9 feat, Rouse the Dreaming Relic. I love the names of these. Prerequisites, inherit the dreaming heirloom, like that one. And that was the one that you have the little doll that tells you things, and you can use guidance. The spirit within your pusaka resonates with other magical items in your possession. Your pusaka gains the following activation. Activate. Replenish heirloom. Free action. Concentrate trait. Frequency once per day. Effect. Your pusaka uses its power to spark one of your depleted magic items to life. You activate an item you've invested even after you've used that activation the maximum number of times for its frequency. You can do so only if the item's level is half your level or lower. The activation has a frequency of once per day or more frequent, and you haven't already used the activation this round. Okay, that makes sense. Damn. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, okay. Technically, that won't come up all the time, but it'll come up pretty often. I think you're safe taking that. Next level 9 feat, Shadow Tempo. Reaction, trigger. An ally within your reach uses a move action or leaves a square during a move action they're using. As your ally moves past you, you match your movements to their rhythm, following them across the battlefield. You stride up to your speed, but must follow the same path that the triggering ally takes. You must end your movement adjacent to the triggering ally, or in the last square you are able to move if your ally is able to move farther than your speed. So it's not just a step, which is what some other Ancestry feats do that work similarly. It's your entire speed. Neat, because you're shadowing them, because shadows. This is so cool. Man, it's tempting to... I guess I'm just calling it this, but it's tempting to say that there's transparency between the fetchling feats and the Wayang feats, because they're both shadow. Like, why couldn't you learn some of the other Ancestry's feats if you're dipping into the same source of power? Oh my god, cat hair all over coffee. No. Level 13 feats. DeLong's Ally. DALANG'. DeLong's ally. Level 13 feat. It has the traits Occult and Shadow. Frequency once per hour. You move your shadow as a master puppeteer. Yeah, okay, here. Allowing it to dance around your enemies and serve you in combat. Until the start of your next turn, your shadow darts around with your foes, providing flanking for you against all enemies within your reach. Flanking with your shadow is the same as flanking with an ally, and so is subject to effects like all-around vision or the Deny Advantage class feature. Just one action, I have flanking on all of you. That's cool. Damn. Obviously it's powerful. It's 13th level. Next feat, level 13, Dance of the Jester, 2 actions. Through your incredible dance skill, you can embody the character of the Jester, able to take control of the shadows of other players on stage, much to your amusement. Attempt a performance check against the Fortitude DC of a single enemy within 30 feet. Critical success. Your shadow and the opponent's synchronize, forcing your target to match your movements step for step. You perform any 2 of the following actions. Drop prone, release an object, stand, step, or stride. You must perform 2 different actions. Your opponent also takes these actions, moving in the same direction as you. For instance, if you stride north, so does your opponent, or releasing an object when you do. The target is then temporarily immune to your Dance of the Jester for 1 day. Damn. Wow. Success. As critical success, except you can take only 1 action, not 2, before your target becomes temporarily immune to your dance, and you cannot move the target into hazardous terrain. Oh. So with the critical success, you can move your opponent into hazardous terrain. I didn't think of that. Or like off a cliff. That's fun! That's super fun! Next feat, level 13, Palm Leaf Silhouette. Frequency once per day. It has the traits Exploration, Extra Dimensional, and Occult. You can make yourself as flat as a paper doll or shadow. You can spend 1 minute in motionless meditation before performing an odd step that takes you partially out of this plane, leaving your body completely flat. In this state, you can slip under doors, through tiny cracks, or anywhere a single sheet of paper could, but you can't cast spells, activate items, or use actions that have the attack or manipulate traits. You remain in this state for 1 minute, unless you choose to return to normal sooner as an action which has the concentrate trait. Why make it take a minute to do this? It's level 13. And it only lasts for a minute, and you can't take attacks. You can't make attacks. Just let it be a single action. Come on. I mean, it'd be more fun and useful that way. Is it going to break anything? No. It should be an action. Next feat, level 13. Slay Giants Unseen. In the darkness, your attacks can bring any red-faced giant to their knees. Once per hour, if you critically succeed at an attack roll against a large or larger enemy, and you're in an area of darkness, unseen hands reach from the shadows and pull the target to the ground, knocking them prone. Awesome! It's just passive! Once per hour, crit success on an attack roll. Large or larger enemy, they're prone. In an area of darkness. They're prone. Wow. That's cool. That's just neat. That's very powerful. Next feat, level 17. Dissolution's Sovereignty. With discipline born from a lifetime in darkness, you convince the shadow of an enemy to fight by your side. You can cast Duplicate Foe. As an occult innate spell once per day, the duplicate is the target's shadow, which takes 3-dimensional form and grants it the shadow trait. For the duration of the spell, the target loses their shadow. If the target is in an area of darkness when the spell is cast, the created duplicate has 15 more hit points. Okay, Duplicate Foe is a 7th level spell. I'll put it up on the screen so you can read it. It is a powerful spell, but it's a minion, so you have to spend your actions on it. It loses 4d6 hit points every turn and starts with 70 unless they're in an area of darkness, in which case they get 15 more, so 85 hit points. And they have the enemy's abilities except special abilities. And because they're a minion, they only get 2 actions a turn, and you have to spend one of yours. So is it useful? Yeah, totally. I mean, you can obviously flank with it, plus it does extra damage. I guess I don't like it, because there are other 7th level spells that are more powerful, better, or just passive so you don't have to spend actions on it. Yes, it's good. Could it be better? I think so. Alright, well. Oh, and also, during the duration of the spell, the opponent loses their shadow, so you can't use that shadow, pinning their shadow to the ground feat, because they don't have one. Prerequisite, inherit the Dreaming Heirloom. As you whisper to your Pusaka, it attempts to cut away an enemy's shadow, leaving them in an eternal sleep. Your Pusaka gains the following activation. Activate, cut the shadow. 2 actions. Has the traits concentrate, manipulate, and mental. Frequency once per day. Effect, your Pusaka becomes a Kriss made of darkness and drives itself into an adjacent enemy's shadow. Neat! That enemy takes 80 mental damage with a basic fortitude save against your spell DC or class DC, whichever is higher. If this reduces the creature to 0 hit points, the target doesn't die, but its shadow is severed from its body, becoming a shadow spawn that attempts to flee from the target's body. As long as the shadow spawn exists, the target remains in a dreamless slumber. If destroyed, the target regains its shadow and awakens. That's awesome! That's just permanent! Dude! Fucking flavorful and fun. But what would you rather do? Leave your opponent in eternal slumber or kill them? Because that's the choice you're being asked to make. Would you rather keep attacking, or use spells, or use this ability? Because it only works if they're going to be dropped to 0 by it. Yes, it's flavorful. Yes, it's fun. Are people going to use it? Maybe. Depending. Maybe. I think I wish there were more 17th level feats. Because I don't like either of these a lot. They have some issues. Overall, Wayangs are flavorful with their mechanics of their feats, and just the explanation of their feats. And their low and mid-level feats are powerful and fun. The higher level feats are interesting and cool, but aren't necessarily as powerful as other ancestry feats for different ancestries. So I would still take them, because, like I said, they're fun, and their mid and low level feats can be powerful and really cool and unique. Pinning the target's shadow to the ground is cool. Or having the little trouble doll that you tell your issues to and you get lore from it and it lets you have guidance. Anyway, it's just really neat. I like the ancestry overall. It's interesting and useful. I think that their higher level feats require a little bit of homebrew to make more sense, to be better. Including the one that takes you a minute to enter a shadow state for a minute, in which case you can't really do much except be paper. Like I said, they should just take an action. Anyway, that's the Wayang. Thank you for joining me. That is the last full ancestry from Tian Xia. I'm sad. There need to be more. But I'm going to go over the other ones. So thank you for being here. If you're a patron, thank you for helping out the channel every month, as you do. I appreciate your support. And so do the kitties, even though they just ran off. At the end of this month, August, in a few days, we're doing Loot's Choice drawing for the blue bag you see behind me. It's a pretty cool dice bag. And obviously it's freaking pretty. So if you want to have a chance to enter, you need to be a patron of $5 or more. So just like any paid patron, not just a free patron. So you can go to the link in the description for Patreon. And while you're there, if you want to come to the Discord, just click the link and join us to chat about stuff. We have a food channel now, because we're nerds. So now we're nerdy about food, too. And we do a weekly Build-A-Build contest. That's fun, that we're coming up with new stuff on. And next week's is going to be clowns. And this current week's is ghosts. Ghosts. So we just finished ghosts, and now we're doing clowns, and next week is going to be Tanuki. Yeah. Oh, if you want to catch up on all your Tian Xia stuff and goodies and goodness and stuff, there's a playlist here. Or if you want to look at old archetypes, they're there. Have fun. There's lots of stuff to look at on the channel. See you next time. Thank you.